Hey there. Welcome back to the video series. This video is going to show you how to set up your gradebook properly for our new grading system, and to show you a couple of other settings that you might want to look at yourself to personalize the gradebook a little bit for yourself. So here I am in PowerTeacher Pro. I want to go to settings, and the very first thing we're going to look at is display settings. In display settings, you have a lot of different options. You can decide in what order classes appear. I'm just going to leave it at period day, but you can experiment with these other options if you want to. Whether or not to show traditional grades, which we do want, and then what values to show. So by default, I believe that this is going to be both grade and percent. And we don't really want or need to see the percent, so I strongly recommend you go in here and you make sure only grade is checked. So that's the first change you're going to make. And then if we hit save, it'll save that. The next thing you want to do is make sure that both show standards is turned on and show standards on assignments is turned on, and that the auto calculate assignment standard scores is set to unchecked, because we don't want the system to take and calculate your standard, your learning target grades from the assignment grade. PowerSchool is kind of backwards. In our system, we score the standards and then we use those standards to inform what the overall grade the kid earns on an assignment is. The way PowerSchool has it set up is you put the assignment grade in and then it determines what the standard grades should be, which kind of feels backwards to me. I don't understand why they do it, but this is the type of thing. Programmers aren't necessarily educators. They don't think like educators do. They don't understand grading systems and the subtleties of them, so they just do what makes sense to them. You'd think a company as big as PowerSchool would understand standards-based grading a little bit better and be able to accommodate us in the way we want to do things, but unfortunately not. So we have to hand calculate those scores. For the navigation links, it doesn't matter. You can try this and see. It just changes basically which thing appears where in the menus. It's kind of silly, so I don't really use it. Professional judgment indicators. This is where PowerSchool can say, hey, I've done some math calculations, but you may want to go back and double check and see if you agree with me. And so you want it to do that on grading, standards, final grades, and on the standard score sheet. So we want to turn all of those on. You can say how your students are displayed, so you can have it go last name, first name, last name. You got lots of different options for how to do it. The default last first is how it's set, and I tend to leave it that way. You can do things like put newly enrolled students at the bottom. You can hide students who are pre-registered and aren't set to enter your class yet, but I tend to leave these exactly like that. And finally, you can say what your custom starting page is. So by default, when you come in, you're going to be on the assignment list, but you could be on the score sheet if you wanted to, or you could have it go to the standards final grades or progress or any one of these other pages here. So think about what it is you go to, and when you're going into the gradebook, where you want to start out. Do you want to start out on the score sheet? Do you want to start out in final grades, assignment list, or whatever? So when you've made your changes to that, hit save. And the next place we're going to go is the standard grade calculations. Now here we're setting it separately for each section of a class, and so unfortunately you're going to have to go into each of your sections and do the same thing. I've only got one section that we're going to do it to. So the default calculation is most likely going to be set to most recent scores, and what you need to do is you need to change it to mean. Okay. We are doing averaging, like we said, and it's a straight, simple numeric average, so there's nothing fancy that needs to be done with it, so we can leave that like that. Since we're not using most recent scores, we don't have to worry about this at all. Make sure auto calculate is turned off, and because auto calculate will be turned off, it doesn't matter what we have in here, but you can leave it set to mean, and then hit save. I would say save it after you do each section. I would say, shrink them all up, open one at a time, and after you do it, hit save and shrink it back up, move on to the next one just to make sure you don't miss any of them. Okay, but the big thing is you need to change this to be a mean, or else it's not going to be calculating grades right. Then we hit save. Finally, if we go back to like the score sheet view or one of these other views here, you have a couple of options up here that you can access. If you click your little profile circle, you can change font sizes. So if the small print is hard for you to see, you can always make the font a little bit bigger like that. It means that you won't necessarily see as much on the screen, but it won't kill your eyes. Another option you have, if you click this gear here, there are filters. So you can say, for example, show me just assignments from the last week, or just today, or something like that, the last month. On different screens, you'll get slightly different options of filters of what you want to see. Like you can filter out when you're looking at a kid and say, only show me, only show me exams, or only show me projects, things like that. So we can hide the filter. You have this summary section at the top, which is where we had the like the edit assignment link I clicked in another video. You can have it show metrics, like what the average score was, what the median score was, if you want, on some of these assignments, and the mode, if there is a mode, for you folks who like your statistics. And if you ever need to, or you're thinking that something doesn't quite look right with your grades, you can always come in here and say recalculate final grades, and it will retally things across the board based on the data that you've got in PowerSchool. So that is how we want to set up our gradebook to get ready for the new school year. You're going to go into display settings and change the traditional grades that are shown. You're going to go into the standard grade calculations, and for each of your sections you're going to change this to mean. You're going to hit save, and we're going to be good. All right, have a great rest of your day.